and welcome to In Focus. Let's talk community. In Focus is our opportunity here on this social media platform of YouTube and most certainly all of our extended platforms to have real conversation with those who are doing great work within our urban core, just to find out a little bit more about them. You know about our Coffee with the Cop that we host every third Thursday of the month that you can find right here. And most certainly the first Tuesday of every month, we have our radio show, our Live with MCI. But this moment is for us to highlight those champions in the community that we know they're there, but we may not know. So this is our moment to get in focus, to fine tune our vision, to find out who they are. And so it's my pleasure today to bring to you maybe someone you know or you don't know, but I'm sure you've heard of the school, and that is the school located in what we used to know as young people. We used to call it Overton, being fancy, but it's Overtown. Over in the great city now, industrial, I'm calling it a city, but a great community landmark of Overtown, Booker T. Washington, the principal of Booker T. Washington Senior High School. It's my pleasure to bring on Mr. Kevin Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence, welcome into our studio.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we most certainly are a bull nation around here in these parts. So let me clarify that you have to understand that I'm so glad that I wear blue and gold. We are absolutely a Miami Northwestern graduate. We serve the students at Miami Northwestern, but it is a distinct pleasure to find someone who is committed to children and families within our urban core, such as yourself, Mr. Lawrence. So welcome to In Focus with the Miami Children's Initiative.
Thank you for having me. And you being a bull, I won't hold that against you.
Oh, no. It's the other way. I won't hold it against you that you had to graduate from school somewhere. So if you didn't graduate from Northwestern, are you a Miami native? Let's start right there.
And that's a great question. I was born in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and I came to South Florida when I was 3 years of age.
Okay. And so you spent most of your life then in the South Florida area?
For the most part, with the exception of going away to college, which was the University of South Florida.
Okay, go Bulls.
There you go.
Yeah, graduate school right here. I just left blue and gold and went over there and put some green in it. That's all. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome to know. All right, now you know, see, everyone aspires to be a Bull sometime in their life. So please introduce yourself just a little bit more. Now we know that you were born in the beautiful country of Jamaica. Most certainly my first experience in going to Jamaica, I felt like I was in Africa. I felt like it was just so beautiful. Now, Montego Bay most certainly is more industrial and more commercialized, most certainly because it's such a beautiful place to vacation. But talk to us a little bit about who Kevin Lawrence is.
Well, that's a great question. And I think when I think about who I am, I think about the community itself that I grew up in. I grew up in Opelika. In going to Opelika Elementary School, Westview Junior High at the time, and then Miami Central Senior High School. So when you mentioned those Northwestern Bulls, like I said, I won't hold it against you.
Oh, Rockets. Nobody paying no attention to no Rockets. What are you talking about? Go ahead on here, sir.
Rocket pride. If I couldn't be a Rocket, nothing greater than, not a Red Raider, but nothing greater than being a Booker T tornado.
And he rhymes. Rhymes. Wonderful. So, okay. So Westview, and then Miami Central, amazing. And so you have spent your life in what would be traditionally considered, I guess, Title I schools, right?
My whole life.
And so what does that mean for those who would say, well, what's a Title I school? And is Booker T. Washington considered a Title I school?
Well, Booker T is a Title I school. We have over 95% of our students that are on free or reduced lunch. And that's how you get that designation. Being that I grew up in a community where a lot of us struggled, a lot of families that had needs, for me, it was only right to be able to come back and work in those schools. You know, there are so many schools across our school district that have students that have personal battles, they have financial battles, they have social emotional needs. To be the principal of the historic Booker T. Washington Senior High School, and I have to say it like that because that's how we refer to Booker T. It's the historic Booker T. Washington Senior High School. It's a blessing for me to be there. Every morning that I wake up, I'm honored to be able to work with students that have a passion unlike any other kid in this state, in this nation, in this galaxy, in this universe. And to be a tornado, you have to be special. So every morning when I wake up, I get to be around a special group of young people and educators that want to make a difference in children's lives. Nothing against the other educators out there, because I have to shout them out as well. A profound amount of respect for anybody in the field of education. But I'm a little biased when it comes to Booker T and the great Overtown community.
So tell us, for those who don't know, most certainly as we are broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, and all of the social media platforms, who may not know, they may not be local, or they may be local and not understand when you say the historic Booker T. Washington. Tell us a little bit about that history.
Indeed. We have to go back to 1926. A lot of people don't know that Booker T. Washington Senior High School was the only school at the time that afforded African Americans and people of color an opportunity to get an education beyond the 8th grade. So people as far as north as West Palm Beach attended Booker T, and people from as far south as Key West attended Booker T.
And you are correct. I've come to know Booker T. Washington, when you talk about urban schools and opportunities for Blacks in Miami, you cannot talk about those who were upwardly mobile or had any reference to education without including, as you say, the historic Booker T. Washington. For we understand, as it relates to Colored Town, or as it relates to those who understand the history of Miami, Overtown was the Harlem of the South. You had so many of the greats, even understanding and knowing that the great movie One Night in Miami, and even to know that Dr. King, one of his last stops before going to Memphis was right here in Miami, in Overtown. Though he was staying at the Hampton House, he was visiting Edward T. Graham of the historic Mount Zion right there in Overtown. And so, as it ties to big picture of impact and impression, Overtown has been a part of the bigger picture of the African American culture, but most certainly has been a staple and was really the only place we really understood and knew. And so for Booker T. Washington to be the home, to find its home in Overtown, so many call it that black and orange. They call it that beautiful, beautiful home. And so where did you start you talked a little bit about your educational journey, but how did you start or find yourself wanting to be an educator?
You know, it's funny how sometimes we don't necessarily choose our path. Our path chooses us. Initially, I wanted to be a sports agent. And coming back home, I didn't go to law school, tried to find myself a little bit. And, you know, you live in South Florida, so there's South Beach, there's everywhere else to go. And being 21 out of college, it was hard to get up every morning. It was hard to do certain things. I started out working at Alamo Rent-A-Car and PRC at night. So I had two jobs, but I didn't feel that I
Oh
was
my
good.
goodness, you went back when you said PRC.
Okay,
Wait a minute.
okay. Yeah. So we all have to start somewhere. And I got into the system as a substitute teacher. And in
Okay.
working with kids, I saw a huge gap where there were some teachers in the schools that I subbed in that they were phenomenal. And then you had the other teachers. And I often talk to teachers about we all had really good experiences with teachers and we had some not so good experiences with teachers. And for me, you remember two types of teachers, the really good ones and the really bad ones.
You do.
And in seeing these teachers, I said, wow, they're getting paid a nice salary, but they're not teaching these kids. And oftentimes it's not necessarily just about teaching these kids about books and about, math and science. It's about teaching kids about life and how to be better and how to build on your futures. So
Mhm.
I started taking all the classes that I needed to take. I got my certification. At one point, since you mentioned Charles R. Drew, I started out as a sub over there, and then I was given an opportunity to be a 3100, which was a temporary teacher. And the
Okay.
following year, Dr. Hunter, who was the principal at Charles R. Drew, he gave me an opportunity to come on and teach social studies full time. I taught at Drew for 5 years. I went on to Parkway Middle School and I taught there for 2 years. And after that, I became an assistant principal at Horace Mann Middle School, and I was there for 6 years.
Okay.
After Horace Mann, I was promoted to Booker T as the vice principal, and I served under Principal William Aristide, for 5 years. Then I was given an opportunity to go back to Horace Mann as the principal, and I was there for 3 years. And I was given that call to come back to Overtown, the historic Booker T. Washington Senior High School, last summer. So I've been back at Booker T for almost a year now as principal.
And how does that feel? How did it feel? Was it like a homecoming for you?
To be completely honest with you, as a blessing, a professional blessing, the best blessing that anybody could have, to go back to a place where
Mm.
you're familiar, to be given an opportunity to work in a place that's rich in history, that has phenomenal people in the building and in the community. It's an awesome feeling. And every day I wake up, I walk into that building like it's my last day. So I'm going to be going 100 miles per hour. I'm going to be enthusiastic. I'm going to be full of energy. It's Booker T is just a great place. I know you mentioned that other school on 71st Street, but
It's called the Miami North. Let me lean in. Let me lean in real close. The Miami Northwestern Senior High School. Yes, sir. Yes.
got
Yes.
you. And
Well,
you
the other Aristide, let me just talk about that right there.
see, you could talk about him, but I knew him since I was 15 when he was one of my coaches at Miami Central. So I have a great amount of love and respect for him. He's a phenomenal principal, but he's even a better person. So, shout out to him. He's an incredible
Yes.
person. So
Yes.
I can't say
Yeah.
anything bad about him. I don't have anything bad to say about Northwestern, but you guys just aren't tornadoes. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired. So let me get on past that point because we could go back and forth right there. And I'm sure those who are watching In Focus, yeah, this is the kind of lighthearted humor, but most certainly with regard and respect that you can have as professionals, most certainly, when you are proud of the work that you do and proud of where you work and proud of the children that you serve. And that's really what I want to get to is it is amazing to see the light in your eyes and the excitement that is exuding from you as it appears that this is your dream job, that this moment for you is one of the pinnacles of your career. I'm a person of faith. We never know where God has for us next. And sometimes when we think we've achieved our best, he has something even better and we don't even know what his plan is. But where others would run away from the community you're serving because it's potentially surrounded by social emotional woes, gun violence, children dealing with what we could consider post-traumatic syndrome, children who are probably come hungry without clothing and all of that, where you find yourself really called to be an educator, but you find yourself being more a social worker. How is it that you still find your niche and your passion to do this work?
That's a great question. And I'm going to say something to you. I have two sons. And part of what I do every day is I always put myself in a place of being a parent. You have to have a love of children. And you know this if you're going to do this job. And I want to be the kind of principal that I wanted to have when I was in school. And I want to be the kind of principal that I want my children to have. And if I could be that person, I want to be that person to everybody's child. So you talk about some of the things that we face, and there are a myriad of challenges that we face every day. But what keeps me coming back and that enthusiasm that I have is when I see the children that we serve every day. And you have a great understanding of what kids go through. We can talk about the 3313 zip code, 33136 zip code, having one of the highest unemployment rates in the state of Florida. We can talk about it having one of the lowest annual incomes every year. But we don't talk about the resiliency of the children that come to that school each and every single day. They are coming from situations. Nobody understands that our school has the highest number of homeless and transitioning kids in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And in spite of all of those things, they come every day. We're looking at COVID-19, and we talk about only 52% of our kids are physically in the building. But that says a lot, because we have over 500 kids that come every day. They give it their all. They try their best, hungry, maybe not in the best clothes. Maybe their shoes might be a little worn, but they're coming to learn. They're coming to better themselves. And they're coming to be motivated by people just like me. And I'm not the only one in the building that has this energy. We got so many people that I could talk about. We'd have to continue to show into next week if I individually talk about some of the heroes that are educators in our school. And let me shout out the other schools, not just in the Overtown community, not just in Liberty City, but across Miami-Dade County Public Schools. We have some true heroes in these buildings that are risking health, life, everything else to ensure that our children are being educated. We have a top flight superintendent, the best in the country, an incredible group of board members, and just district personnel that have this vision. And it's a shared vision that we want to help kids. So for me, it's easy. I wake up every morning. The mission or the goal is to help somebody who can't help themselves.
Wow, that's truly amazing to hear and to know, as you're suggesting, that the African proverb, many people try to give Hillary Clinton credit, but we knew that it was an African proverb from our community that stood strong shoulder to shoulder, because we were the ones who would go next door to get the cup of sugar and go down the street and get told, you Lucy made them, child, get back down that street. You don't supposed to be over here. Why are you over here being so fast? But we understood the concept that it takes a village to raise a child. And yeah, we may have had Ned DeWino on the corner doing what he did, but you better believe when it came down to it, Ned DeWino would even stand up and say, "You're not gonna mess with Mildred children. You understand?" Right. It truly. So we had deviants, we had issues, but we were still a community that understood each other. And I think that's what you're suggesting, that the district has created, and your school has created a network of connectings that provides children a resource in the community that they feel safe or stable, at least when their lives, when they leave you, are so unstable. No. Now that, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I can't do what I do without people supporting me and believing in the vision. At the
Yeah.
same time, I have a superintendent who empowers us to do these things. I also have a region superintendent, Dr. Mike Lewis, who is probably one of the best people you'll meet anywhere. And he's going to make sure that I'm able to do what I do. And I also have Dr. John Pace, who's somebody who brought me to Booker T because he knew what it was that I was about, and he enabled me to be me. Because in a world that wants people to be somebody else, it's really hard to be yourself. But
Yeah.
these individuals on that level understand that you need unique people in these unique places in order to help unique children.
To help unique children. Well, and I hope this doesn't come across that I'm tooting my horn or anything, but uh, in the month of April, the Miami Herald had an insert from Legacy magazine that highlighted some of the most powerful and influential Blacks in Miami-Dade or South Florida. And I had the privilege of being listed among those individuals with Mr. John Pace. And so it's just tremendous to hear you say that. And we hope that we are, and because I've had conversations with some of the other honorees as well. I believe all of us are hoping that we're leveraging our level of influence, right, to impact others and then reach behind us and lift the next generation up to say, come on, let's get this going so that each one reaches one. And as you suggest, have a platform that they can be themselves. If that means we're kicking some doors in, we're opening some doors for someone else, then that's great to hear. I just wanted to add that as you mentioned him, that he was just mentioned along with the college of us of what they've come to say were influential and powerful people in this community, which we were absolutely amazed to be a part of that. So talking about that, there is something spectacular happening at your school as you were selected to be a part of this Achieve Miami initiative. Talk to me about what that means in bridging a digital divide and how we'll be able to raise the substandard, probably educational that potentially children have had to now putting everybody at par.
I'm glad that you brought that up because we had the launch last week at the school. A few weeks ago, we had the press conference, and I definitely have to recognize Achieve Miami, the Miami Foundation, Leslie Miller Science. There's so many other partners involved in this great initiative. And when COVID-19 hit about a year ago, you're very familiar with the digital divide, and you understand that not everybody had internet service at home. Through this incredible organization and these wonderful people, they understood that there is a huge divide. And there are some areas in this city and across this country that children actually need internet service, something that somebody may take for granted. You know, we walk into our homes, we have Wi-Fi. But what happens when a child doesn't have that? For some people, they're already on the brink of poverty. They're struggling. If you're asking somebody to pay an additional $50, $60 for internet service, that might be the difference between your lights and your water being on. So they may not be able to do it. I've had kids logging into classes from a Starbucks or a McDonald's or anywhere where they could find Wi-Fi service just to connect to do their work. So when this initiative came forward and they said that our students could benefit by having free internet service for 2 years, it was a no-brainer for me. And I mentioned that Title I situation where 95% of our students are on free or reduced lunch. We needed to do it. And we had an organization that was willing to help us. So for me, just tell me where to sign up and tell me what I have to do to have that happen for our kids. And that was the mindset that I took on when they approach me with the idea.
Well, we are so thankful that you took that on, because you were a launch, as you suggest, but it becomes an opportunity as you are kind of the launching pad, but it becomes an opportunity for children all over Miami-Dade County. I also think it's important to note that you noted earlier that a great portion of your population are students who are homeless. And so this is because of your proximity to the Camilla's house and to, oh my goodness, it's escaping me, but to those that serve the homeless population. I would imagine internet would be paramount, because they would not be able to get on in the current circumstances that they are in.
Correct. We have 48% of our students that are working from home. They're on the online platform. Mm-hmm. So those kids, they still need that internet service. It is just as paramount as water to a fish, oxygen to us. That is their lifeline for education. Now, if you ask my opinion, nothing comes close to face-to-face instruction. But I understand the world that we're in and what's going on. So you have to be creative, you have to be engaging, and you have to captivate these kids if they are at home. Because understand this, if we're going to talk about what kids have been doing during this pandemic, parents still have to work. So in some instances, these kids have to take care of their little brothers and sisters. They have to be caregivers for elderly family members. Some of them may even have to go out and work. So to have free internet service, it's monumental.
So I am so happy to know again, and I can't believe that our time has flown by so quickly. But this has been absolutely a phenomenal time. Let me end on this note. I'm glad to hear about Achieve Miami. I am happy to hear that we have someone at the helm who regards and respects the historical preservation of the thought process of who Booker T, or what Booker T has been to this Black community, and especially preserving the thought of Overtown when we know gentrification is so real. And so it's good to have someone there who will not only embody and symbolize the understanding of what that community is, but has a understanding to be broad enough to embrace all cultures, but still be true, as you said, to yourself and true to whom you know you are. I think that's amazing. So let's talk as we go out, because one of the great things that Booker T's been known for is being able to knock it out on that gridiron, right? Being able to handle some things. So talk to us as we're concluding about some of the things that's happening with your sports teams, your band, and just talk to us about that. Some of those things that would potentially be an attractant to some students or parents who maybe have some questions about, oh, I don't know about Booker T. Is it okay for my child to attend? Talk to us a little bit about some of those extracurricular activities that help well-round the child in their academic and educational activities.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the platform to even mention the extracurricular side of things. First and foremost, if I was speaking to parents, one of the first things that I'll say is, how many other principals look like me? You should want to have your kids come out to Booker T.
What you trying to say? You handsome? What you trying to say? You because your blue suit popping. What you trying to say around here in these here parts? What you saying?
I'm just trying to say the truth, because what tornadoes do, we're not going to lie. We're going to tell the truth. So they're going to get an opportunity if they play sports. We could talk about a championship football team. This year, we're not going to talk about this past season. We're going to talk about the upcoming season.
COVID. It's COVID. Come on. Yeah.
Right. Just know that Northwestern is on the schedule. So I'm say that to everybody out there.
Go sit down somewhere.
We gonna bang it out on the field. So we know how the game is going to end before it starts. But I'm looking forward to seeing you guys.
I'm so glad The I wear blue and gold. Go ahead, sir.
Is it blue, or I know y'all say royal blue and gold, whatever it is, you guys
All
got to
that.
deal with the orange and black. Let's just say that. We're also going to expand into our dance program. We're getting ready to bring some people in that's going to work with our dance program and maybe
Oh,
rival your dance group that I kind of heard
oh,
something about over at
we've
Northwestern.
had we've had Mr. Dumay on our program. Oh, we got our
Oh,
eyes open. We not
oh,
lost. Our eyes not wide shut. We looking
okay.
at you.
Okay. So I didn't have to even say any names. So obviously we know what time it is out there. I got you.
Uh-huh.
So yes, indeed. He's a special and talented, brilliant young guy, and he's going to bring some of that over to Overtown.
Mm-hmm.
Our art program, we're getting ready to build and open up an art gallery at Booker T. You know, Winwood is down the street, but we have an art teacher who is phenomenal. One time for Mr. Seguero. Our art program is getting ready to take off. You mentioned band. We're working on that. I'll just give a plug for the entire school and just say that we have a lot to offer. We could talk about dual enrollment. We could talk about AP courses. We could talk about CTE. Um, get on board when you got a chance, because in a minute, we're going to have to start turning people back. We're going to get that enrollment up. We're working on the facilities. We have a brand new track, brand new basketball courts, tennis courts, trees are trimmed. Campus looks like a college campus. If you want to get a full-rounded academic and athletic fine arts programs in, just come to Booker T. That's all I'm going to say. We don't even need to say anymore. We have something special going on in Overtown. When I arrived, we talked about it. I'm going to talk about it now. I call it the miracle in Overtown. Just
The
look for the
miracle
shining light in the
Overtown.
sky, like how the Hard Rock is set up now. Look for that in Overtown. Know that's Booker T. Know that great things are happening over there. Come
Oh,
see
I
me.
thought it was gonna be the bat sign. I thought you were saying it was gonna be the bat, like the Batman sign
You
or
know,
something like that.
I identify with Batman and Bruce Wayne. You know, I need some of
Oh,
Bruce's
you
money.
the Dark Knight. This is too much sugar today, y'all. This is Well, Mr. Lawrence, this has been an absolute pleasure having you on and giving us a moment to just focus on you, as that's what we've come to do in this show, just to highlight those who are working hard to improve the lives of children and family in our urban core. You just happen to be doing it over in Overtown, as we've been committed to Liberty City. But we salute those who selected you. We salute those who support you, and we pray for you that God continues to bless all of your endeavors, most certainly as a father, but most certainly as a principal, and in all your efforts that you're doing. I'll allow you to have our last and closing remarks. Let me just say this. Again, to those who have watched, please continue to like, subscribe, and follow us on Miami Children's Initiative, on I Am Liberty City, and most certainly at www.miamichildren'sinitiative.com, that you will find out all events and happenings in and about Liberty City surrounding children and families around our services. We'll allow you, sir, to have Mr. Kevin Lawrence to close us out with our closing remarks.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Congratulations to you on your accomplishments. And I just want to quickly say thank you for all that you do for the community. It's been truly an honor for me to be here. And, you know, I teased you this entire segment, but my hats are off to everybody out there that's doing the work that's being done in all of our schools. So if I had a message to parents, I would just tell them, continue to support your schools, continue to keep your kids in our schools because we need them. And at the end of the day, our focus is to help your kids to be better than us, to be better than they think they would ever be, and to help them become lifelong citizens that are improving our communities. So thank you for the work that you're doing, and thank everybody out there that supports Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
All right. Bye-bye, y'all, and have a great rest of your day.